Hi, my name is Laura Gordon. We're going to be adding dynamic content to your Joomla website. Let's make your Joomla website dance today. A little bit about me. I started working with Joomla in about 2006. I've built sites for small businesses, nonprofits, libraries, and e-commerce. I ran Joomla Day New York City for a few years, Joomla Camp of New York. I'm the founder of the Joomla Users Group in New Jersey. Taught with OS Training, ran Joomla Day USA 2021 with an amazing team of volunteers. Please visit our site at jdayusa.com to see our recordings. With Joomla, I'm a member of the Joomla User Group team, volunteer engagement team, event team, educational outreach team, and the certification ambassadors. Where am I currently? I work at Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey School of Arts and Sciences, as a web developer. I manage with the team around 120 Joomla websites for the school. Here are the dance steps for today. First, we're going to use the random image module. Display a slideshow from the core. Language overrides, it's easy and powerful. Articles in a category module, it's not just a list. Newsflash, how can you use this in a new way? Tabs and sliders and content, get rid of those long pages. Easy admin, easy for your non-techie to add content without needing documentation. And how you can pull it all together with an embedded module. Let's dance. So what are we going to use today? I built a play site called aquarium.cloudaccess.host. This does not really exist. The aquarium does not exist. The content does not exist. But let's just think of it as a demo. They want to display details about exhibits, animals, hours, and details about the location. Keep in mind, if you visit this site not during this class, it's possible the site doesn't even exist anymore, but it's just a working site, so I can create the slides. But you can feel free to try to visit it. Random image module. This has been around since Joomla 1, but a lot of us haven't even seen it because we look for fancy slideshows and all of that. You want a beautiful image to display on your site. It would be great if each time you visited the page, a different image from a folder is displayed. That's your random image module. And again, it's core Joomla. First, how do you do this? You create a folder in media. And all the screenshots that I'm showing you here, these are all done in Joomla 4. So first, you're going to create the folder in media. Name it aqua_banners, for example. Upload images to the folder. Now, as a hint, I suggest that they all should be the same exact size. So you got to do your resizing outside of Joomla. Although the editor, you can now do resizing inside of Joomla, there are tools out there where you could batch resize, which I would highly recommend. Then you go into the back end again. So it would be the back end, system, and site modules. Of course, there are many different ways you can get to your site modules as well. Click on New. And then for the type, select Random Image. In your module settings, depending on the image extension, first of all, they all have to be the same extension for this to work. Perhaps it's a WEBP or a JPG. You would want to put that in the image type. You put in the image folder, make sure you put images as the root, if assuming that's your root images folder, /aqua_banners. Keep in mind, this width really should be the exact width and height of your actual images. So in this example, I use 1350 by 450. And set the title to hide. You don't really want a title to display over that image. And if you like, you could also put a link in there as well. And that way, when you click on the image, it will take you to a specific page. But it will take you to the same page for all of the images. In the end result, every time you refresh the page, a different image will show up on the page. This, again, is a real easy way to add some beautiful content onto your website. What about language? Language overrides. By default, what if you don't like the text that is used in your site? Again, this is core Joomla, no component needed. Let's say you click on a category that does not have any entries in it. The default text in Joomla 4 with the English language set is this. There are no articles in this category. If subcategories display on this page, they may have articles. All right. As a user of my website, I do not want to see that. And It's not to say you're always going to have content in every single category, so let's fix it. How do you fix it? First, go to System and then Language Overrides. From here, you're going to click New. You're creating a new language override. Enter the text you want to replace, then click Search. So you want to search for a value and put in the text, the search text of the actual value that you're looking for, and then click Search. And you'll see that in the search results, it'll come up the com_content_no articles. And that is the constant that's being used that you want to change. How do you change it? When you're creating the new override, you are going to type in the language constant com_content_no_articles, and then put in whatever text you want, such as more details will be added shortly. Now keep in mind, this example is a general message, so I can't say there are no exhibits yet or there are no animals yet, because that would depend on what category list I was looking at. So in this example, you want to keep it general. But more details will be added shortly is a perfectly fair explanation if someone gets to a page where there's no content. Let's say each time a new article is added to the animals category, you want it to dynamically display on the right-hand side. Sometimes in Joomla, and it could work the best way, you create menu items or sub-menu items for them. But what I'm showing you here is a way to just display a list of articles inside of a category. And this way, I don't necessarily need a menu item for each one, especially if this list is going to change frequently. Another example in this site is where I want recent posts displayed on the left-hand side. Maybe these are news articles or something like that, and I could sort them by the date that they were created. So let's see how to do it. So in Joomla 4, you can create something that's called articles in a category. There's a lot of tabs and a lot of options in this, so let me just show you a couple of them. Number one, the filtering options. So when you click on filtering, you want to change the category to be animals, and then it's just going to show those for animals. And then on the right-hand side, I could select another tab for the title. Another piece that I can do is I can group by tags. So this way, I can actually show our animals, and I can show fish, invertebrate, reptile, shark, turtle. But look at this. That means that silly shark, let's say I put shark in both groups, a fish and also shark. Notice silky shark, not silly, can be displayed twice on this list, which could be really useful. You can use the group by, either you could group by tags, you can also group by date. So let's say if you have a bunch of articles that were created, news items, you can group them by month. So for each month, you have a list of news items or blog menu items that you want to create. Now, how can you make it a little bit more dynamic? So in this example, I want to display a list of articles based on the category that's being selected in the menu item. So if it's a category, blog, or list, I only need one module, not two, meaning I don't necessarily need a module for exhibits and a separate one for animals. First, on the module itself, I need to select the mode as being dynamic. Just that option alone. Now, if I go to our animals category on the right-hand side, now first of all, I did change the title of the module to be more, because obviously I don't want it to say more animals if I'm on the exhibit category. But if I say more, it's going to show me only the articles that are linked with that specific category of animals. If I click on our exhibits, which is a different category blog page, the more is now going to only show the exhibits. So what I just showed you how to do is to do something with one module to display more dynamic content. Here's another great tool, Newsflash. Newsflash allows you to display the intro text from the articles from specific category or categories multiple. Now you could also use the articles from category module to do this, but I wanted to show you in Newsflash, which again, this is from Joomla 1.0. What if you want to display a blurb about random articles, such as, let's say, special exhibits that you want to highlight? So how do you do that? First of all, set some of your articles to be featured. in that category. Then in the featured articles selection for Newsflash, I can select only show featured articles. As a result, on my home page where I put this module, I can see featured exhibits, see Turtle Cove. If I refresh, I can have Kids Zone. Now, some other settings that I put in there is I did a maximum number of articles displayed, set it to 1. You can also display the ordering to be random. So that way, every time I visit the page, a different article will display. Of course, it does have to be a featured one. Other ways where you can use Newsflash. What I love to use it for in a lot of websites is testimonials. So let's say you have testimonials that you've collected and you create a category called testimonials. What you can do is you can do a random newsflash on your home page to show what they are saying, what clients say. And every time the page is refreshed, a different testimonial will be seen. This is a real easy way of showing quotes or anything like that. What do you need? You need a category and individual articles for each one, and then all the power to you. Tabs. So this is the only example that I'm showing in this discussion of using a plugin for this to actually work well. Joomla Shack has created a tool called Tabs and Sliders. This tool has been around forever, and it does work with Joomla 4 because I actually installed it on Joomla 4 the other day. So first of all, you're going to install the tool, then go to System and Plugins, search for tabs, make sure it's enabled. Now by default it will be, but just double check and make sure it's enabled. Plus, I recommend to change the settings, change the layout to simplistic. Now, if you get the pro version of this, it comes with a lot of other settings that you can use, which is really nice to have. So let's see how this one can work. First, you're going to put the tab code into the article, such as tab equals tab title 1. You put your text in, tab equals tab title 2, put your text in, and then you close the tabs. The close is really important. You have a /tabs, and also make sure you're using curly brackets around each element. If you miss any of these pieces, it is not going to work. In the end result, I can see the tabs going across. I can click on each one and see additional content. How about a slider? I think these days a slider which opens up this way vertically instead of horizontally is probably better for cell phone use. And to be honest with you, we all want to be coding better for cell phones. So the code for slider is slightly different. So tabs, you create tab, 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 and then close the tabs at the very end. With the slider, you need to close it for each slider. It's almost like each one is a separate element. So you have to remember the close slider. And again, when I say close, I mean /slider at the end of your text. So you can notice here I have slider, slider title 1, text, text, close slider, then another slider, slider title 2. Let's see what this will look like. So here you could see, do you dare to cross with the minus sign if I want to close it and the plus sign of who should cross. How about easy administration? A lot of us developers love documentation. No, not at all. Or maybe we do create documentation for our customers, or maybe our customers demand the documentation and they say, I'll pay an extra whatever amount of money so I have good documentation. I want to tell you something. Nobody reads the documentation. They're using it to make themselves feel better, to make sure they know how to do something and they don't have to find you afterwards. To me, the definition of good usability is where it does not need actual documentation, meaning I don't need to read the documentation to work well. So how do you do that? I think I found the answer. It's all based on your menus. So what you want to do for your users is to provide what's called a user menu. This user menu is something that you can only see if you're logged into the system. And it has menu items in it that are perfect so your end user or your customer can edit the website directly from the front end. They don't need to learn all of Joomla in order to do it properly. If your administrator loves getting into the back end with the admin screen, that's perfectly fine. But again, most people don't have the time to do that. So as I mentioned, the best way to teach Joomla is by editing content from the front end first. So even if you have someone that wants to log into the back end of Joomla, my recommendation is give them front end editing first. And one important note, confidence is the first step to a happy Joomla developer and a happy Joomla customer. So what do? First, you're going to create a user menu. Menus, manage new. You're going to create one menu item as public. You're going to call it admin, and this is a login type menu item. 2 or 3, you're going to create one menu item to add exhibit. So the title is going to be add exhibit. You're going to set a default category. So first of all, the menu item type is going to be create article, and this menu item should have special access only. Once logged into this special menu item will now display. On the Publishing tab, the category will already be set and it cannot be changed. Now it's simple for this admin to add a new article to this category, which can now display in Articles List Newsflash Category Blog View. So in the options, this is an example of I only want a specific category shown. Choose the category exhibit. So it's going to force them to create an article in the exhibits category. You want to make sure that the access is set to special. Access in Joomla is what people can see, not necessarily what they can do. The access levels you can see in the back end under the user management. You can click on access and you can see what user groups are in which access levels. The user group is what you can actually do on the website. So now I need to display this module this menu in a module. So you're going to create a menu module, select menu, then user menu. Access, special users, which I mentioned before about the access levels, who is in which access level. The position in this template is just going to be sidebar right. And then the menu assignment, I'm just going to put on all pages. So when I log into the system on the front end, in order to log in, I just have to type in the URL /admin, because remember, I created a public level menu item to log in. I log in. Once I'm logged in, there's an option to add new exhibit, and that's under the user menu. When I click on add new exhibit, it's basically letting me create a new article, and the category is already going to be selected. So I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is create the article. Another way to look at your data and to look at your articles is I like creating a menu item that's just a category list. If I'm logged in and it's a category list view, what's nice is right here, I can see the list of all the articles. I can see if there's an article there that's unpublished. On the right, I can click on edit to edit the article from the front end. I can also click on new article. As an added feature in Joomla 4.1, it looks like you'll be able to save as copy from the front end, which is going to be a fantastic feature to have, but it just doesn't exist just yet. But it looks like based on GitHub that I'm looking at, 4.1 is when it's going to be included. Embedding a module into an article. So let's say you want to take the power of a module that can do a lot of really cool stuff, any kind of module, and you want to display it inside of an article. Well, first we need a module to do it with. Now, originally, way back in this discussion, we did a random image module. Let's do that again, but we're going to do it a little differently. So let's say with our random image module, we want to display random images of sharks, okay? Well, in order to do that, first I need a folder called sharks. I'm going to upload images to the folder. Remember, I'm going to resize them first before doing it. I will then create a module called Shark Images. The type of module is going to be random image. The folder it's going to look at is images/sharks. I'm going to set the position to none because I'm going to manually put it somewhere. And for the pages, I'm going to set it to the pages that I want this module to appear on. And this way, at least it gets called. I then go into the article itself, into my silly shark, let's say, and select CMS component, which you can kind of see here on the left-hand side. I click on module, and then I just need to find my module that I created before called Shark Images. When I insert it, what it's going to do is it's inserting the code load module ID. If you knew the module ID for the module that you were created, you could just type this in. It would be curly bracket, load module ID, space 115, close curly bracket. Now, the advantage of using the number instead of ever using the name is if you change the name, obviously it will no longer work. So I recommend using 115. Now, way back in Joomla, I always used to use something called load position, and I would create a position and then use that. This is much more efficient. So it's load module ID 115. Now, when I go to preview my article, which you can see here in the image, every time I refresh the page, I will see a different image displayed. Let's go through some of the things that we just covered today. First, random image module. As you can see here, I have the banner, and every time I refresh the page, a different image is going to show up. The language overrides. If I go to a category, which on my site now I don't have one, that doesn't have any articles in it, I can change the language override of what displays. The articles in a category module. So if I click on our animals, I have more here, and this is going to show me any of the animals that are in the category for the page that I'm on. That's the dynamic one that I created. If I click Visit Us, which shows us our exhibits, this more list is going to change to any items in the category for exhibits. Newsflash. So if I go to the home page again, I have my featured exhibit. This is only going to show the content from something that is featured in a specific category that I select. And every time I refresh the page, it will show me a different featured exhibit. The tabs and sliders. So if I go to Visit Us and I go to my Shark Bridge, this is where I put my tabs. So you can see the example of the tabs. And here's an example below of the sliders. Again, this is a free module from Joomla Shack. Easy admin. So once I'm logged into the front end, I can see my user menu, which I can use to add a new exhibit or manage all exhibits. So add a new exhibit, it forces me in the publishing to use this specific category, which I can't change, by the way, which is a beautiful thing. Or I could give my clients something like this, manage exhibits. This is just a category list, but when I'm logged in, I have this edit article feature of edit, or I could click new article and it will create a new article in that category. And as I mentioned, 4.1, we get to do save as copy when we're editing an article. And that was the easy admin. The actual embedding of the module, I put in Silky Shark. So here, if I scroll down, this image here, every time I refresh the page, it's showing a random image. So I embedded the random image within the article itself. I think you're all ready to dance. Thank you so much for participating with me. I hope you learned just a couple of new tidbits about Joomla. Again, this is core Joomla. This is what sold me on Joomla back in 2006. It's still just as powerful today. And with Joomla 4, it is so fast, so fast. So please keep learning, have fun, and have a great day. Thanks.